Hey, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to another lit video here on Skullman TV. So, we've been going through everything, and I mean everything, with Pokemon Legends ZA. And there is a lot of stuff to go over and to dive into today. So, we're not going to talk too much. Keep it. Go ahead and like, subscribe, turn notifications, and let's get on with the video. So, I am going to say this. I've seen a couple little trailers, right? A couple little things, and in these videos, we saw that yes, indeed, there are some things that we have not seen past the little videos and information we're going to read. So, we recently watched some videos. Apparently, they had way more that went into the event besides just videos that were able to be uploaded. I am looking for my remote. Besides from just videos that were able to be uploaded, such as we saw that the event in Paris did have a bunch of crazy little plushies, such as chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, hints at, different Pokemon as plushies, little events where they actually had a miniature replica of Lumio City, and they also had, a Mega Station where you're going to be able to go ahead and do, a compatibility test with your favorite Mega Evolution, and hear different Mega Cries with real-life Mega Stones, where it showed, stuff like Gyarados and Sableye and so on and so forth. All of these are absolutely awesome things, and after seeing these things, I can say, taking a look at actual Lumio City, taking a look at all the things we saw, the plushies, we could throw them off. They could definitely be, obviously, hints to Mega Evolutions that may come in the future, such as Chandelure, Frostlass, and the rest of the leaked Mons that were in the leaked Mega Evolution, which we know they're pretty much confirmed, like we stated multiple times over, like everyone else has stated multiple times over. All of them are pretty much confirmed. We just haven't, obviously, seen them all officially in the trailers that we had. Another big thing was looking at, some of those things. We could say that, yes, those are the Megas. We could also argue that those are just, hey, these are little Pokemon that were introduced during X and Y. We're going to have reference to those, obviously. And that right there probably makes the most sense. But we, besides from also knowing that Chandelure, Frostlass, also have leaked Mega Evolutions that are coming to ZA. Now, with all that out the way, we're going to touch on Lumio City itself. Lumio City, looking at everything, traveling Lumios, it really puts a perspective on it. Traveling, not Lumios, traveling Paris, traveling Paris, not Lumios. It really puts which, once again, I didn't do this. I did not go traveling, obviously. But, when you look at it, obviously we have a wonderful little thing here to look at. The miniature replica of Lumio City. And, travels in Paris. How one-to-one are they? And as many of people who did go to the event stated, it's pretty spot on. Like, actually going to Paris and, seeing these vlogs that people did for Paris and so on and so forth. It really puts into perspective what what the inspiration was for. How spot on these one-to-one comparisons are. And looking at Paris as to Lumiose, obviously not everything's going to be there, but you can see how Paris is such a amazingly huge town. And you can also see how even within the replica, you know, I was able to see, you know, like, and put into perspective, you know, what is the true size? That's what I asked myself when I saw the miniature replica of Lumio City. What is the true comparison when you're talking about Lumio City, your character, these Pokemon? Because we can go one by one on the comparison between all of these Pokemon and the actual city itself. Which I can't show images of all these things, hence why you're seeing my screensaver currently. But man, that, you know, when you put into perspective a little miniature figure in there, and you see these huge buildings, and obviously, you know, the Lumiose Tower, it really is an absolutely huge map. The game is going to be absolutely huge, even just being in the confined space of Lumio City. Now, I've heard a couple people saying it just feels a little bland, it just feels a little this, it just feels a little that, you know, because we're so used to big, vast, open worlds. And, you know, taking this city, we really don't put into perspective that this is a future Lumio City. This is a future Paris. This is by far the biggest city in all of the Pokemon games. And we don't really understand that because of X and Y. But many people who have played the game state this is an absolutely great game. And we're going to get into all of that because I have my own opinions just watching the trailers. Or just watching the gameplay. And you know, the city's just going to be very vast, very wild, very open, and I feel like there's going to be a lot more than we fully understand, because seeing those little, you know, seeing like Lumio City, like, I wonder if we can pull it up, hang on. Alright, so we can't find the actual image of the miniature, because they're probably not going to want that to be shown all over the internet. But put yourself into perspective. This is the map, right? Right here. This is your map. And then when you put yourself into perspective where you're just in this square, this is but just a portion. You're just this mini little dot right here. And that's just a small portion of this entirely vast map that is going to be Lumio City and Legends ZA. And that is crazy. Absolutely crazy to think about. So, with that being said, do I think this is going to be a huge game? 100%. And I think it's going to be absolutely fun, absolutely amazing. And I think we're going to have a lot of crazy stuff to encounter. Especially inside of inside of buildings, outside of buildings, in the water, so on and so forth. And, you know, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to read what was, you know, we're going to, we're not going to read that yet. We are going to read this later, which is talking about everything with ZA. But before we do that, let's jump into this, because this is a whole article on Cerebi and his experience, or their experience with Legend ZA. So let's go over here and let's view this, because I have a couple of insights on this. So we have, you know, a lot of little things going on here. We're attacking. This is a new gameplay. We're getting to attack Houndour. And, you know, we get to see a lot of little things. Like, attack damage. You know, if we go back and we pause this right here. Boom, right there. And another hit, boom, right there. And look at all this, like, blood marks on the screen, showing like we're taking damage, just like Arceus, which is Legends Arceus, which is absolutely crazy. We also have, if we come back a little bit, I'm not sure if they had it, but you can, we'll check that out in a little bit, because they're going to come back to this. So we can see, you know, obviously catching mechanics, where I think they're going to try and catch this Houndour. Yeah, right there. We also get to see, I don't know if it's in this spot, but nope. A little bit of them getting to switch. A little bit of the gameplay and how fast-paced and just absolutely vibrant this is. Like, it's so fast-paced, the game and actual battling system. Like, boom, Pichu's already defeated. Absolutely crazy. This is another thing to note. We see Pichu, right? Pichu, the flame uses Thunder Wave, but Flame Wheel takes significantly longer to unleash, so the Thunder Wave gets set off even though the Flame Wheel takes damage, and we see Fletchinder over here getting paralyzed, which is crazy. We can also see like a little Pokeball, how many Pokemon the opponent has, which I think is interesting to note. And, you know, they had, one thing that they noted that I don't see here. Oh, there it is. Boom. This right here. If you see where this little, they're flashing, they had down some of flashing. Essentially, this is stats. Real-time stats, real-time effects happening, and you get to see them in real time. So we see Fletchinder has one of his stats is down because they I did get notified watching some stuff that this is actually a stat system. So we see that one of his stats is down, and we also see that he has a real-time status effects. So Fletchinder is paralyzed, and I believe that is what, HP, or not HP, maybe like one of his attacks, defense, special attack, special defense, and I think speed it is. So I think his attack probably is down. And then we see, obviously, getting to pick up little things, little nicks off the ground. Getting Pokeballs. And this, what is that? What is this? Hold on. Let's go back to that. So, what do we have over here? Boom. Immediately knock out unaware opponents with your first blow. So, oh, that's one of the cards. So apparently you can use these cards, and it looks like you can gain 30 coin and 300 points into ZA. If you do this event, this little side event that it wants you to do, so maybe that looks to be like a little card that you can pick up, and it allows you to get extra points if you do what this card has tethered to it. And here you can obviously see they're trying to get a certain amount of points. They got 500 right now, so they're trying to get their points to get the ticket. And then obviously this is the coins that you've gathered. So if they did this, they would get 300 more points for that towards getting the card, or getting the coupon, and then 30 more coins, so that way they can rank up, it looks like. immediately knock out unaware opponents with your first blow. So, let's say they swap out Sylveon and hit this dude's Pokemon right here. What is that? A Staryu. Let's say he hits this Staryu right here and immediately knocks out that Staryu with let's say he uses Pikachu, uses Thunderbolt on him while it's underwear, and immediately knocks it out. They would have probably gotten 300 points and 30 coins, is what I'm assuming. You can let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I understand. And here we see more damage to the screen, back over by the Houndour area, kind of more towards it. We don't see too many things going on in the background besides stands and so on and so forth. And obviously an item that we get to pick up. So we also see getting drowsy. What was that they used? They used hypnosis, and it made them drowsy instead of falling asleep. So we see the drowsy working like the ZA also. The main thing that looks to be different from ZA is obviously battling system and the capturing mechanic. We get to knock out Pokemon and capture them, which is great. That's something they talked about a while ago. And we also see our lovely sleeping Houndoom over here, which is the Alpha Houndoom we saw. So I do want to talk a little bit on this. One thing that was stated in that I noticed, somebody sat here and they were able to beat the Alpha Pokemon. Another one actually beat it using the cafe mechanic. So over here we see a cafe, right? So there's a cafe right there, and they mentioned that in their gameplay they were actually able to go ahead and lower the Houndoom fairly low, and then travel over to this cafe right over here, and then it entered a cutscene where, you know, they did the whole cafe thing, and then boom, they came back and was able to take out that wonderful Houndoom, and I'm assuming capture, most likely, because that's what I would have done. Capture using a Great Ball, that Houndoom, which is crazy, which obviously they're zooming into. That's so crazy. Hold up. Go back to that zoom-in spot. Let's go back to that zoom-in spot. Right? Because we get a little bit of little different few things. I'm wondering what we can get from these stands. It looks to be a lot of different equipment, a lot of different items, so on and so forth. We also see, what are these posters in the background? I'm assuming for the advertisement of the ZA Battle Royale, but I'm wondering just what hides behind those posters. I'm sure there's probably some megas that we're not supposed to see in those posters, probably. Or some reference to some megas in them posters, right? Which we just haven't seen, because we don't see too many of these posters. We see a lot of them, but we don't see too much emphasis on some of these posters like they would do in other ZA trailers. So I'm interested to know what is going to be on those posters, and if there's any hints towards other Mega Evolutions. We'd have to look in different little clips of different gameplays and see, because I'm definitely interested to note on that. And I'm actually interested to know if we're going to have a fast travel mechanic using taxis. Because as we see cars littered throughout Lumio City. We do know that there is taxi systems. We are building up Lumio City. I'm wondering if the taxis are intact, or if we need to clear out some of these mega, what do they call it? The mega, oh my goodness. I'm gonna get this right. The mega, okay, they don't have it listed, but I wonder if we're not gonna, get done with some of these mega raids, and, go ahead and clear some of those out, that have popped up over Lumios, and clear out maybe some of the alpha Pokemon that have, popped up over Lumios, and be able to go ahead and use the taxi service to quick travel to certain areas that we've already visited, which I think would be an amazing aspect of the game if we get to do that. And then we see, okay, a little Flaffy, and obviously we're gaining some points. So we get to gain some points here. We get some points towards our ticket, which is what I expected. Points would be equal to getting points towards a ticket. And as we see, medals are going to be, I guess, our gold that we're going to accumulate before we rank up. And it looks like, okay, so what did they just do? So they just did all this, right? And then I want to see one little thing. This is why I'm coming back to this. Okay. So we see we get 3 wins. And then rewards. And we got 64 medals, right? 500 points. So 15 prize medals. So this is a new area. We're starting with 0 wins, 0 everything. So we could assume that they picked up a tiny mushroom and got some prize medal. Okay. So I was wondering if what's going on is with these wins, if we're going to get certain specific prizes, certain specific things catered towards our winnings. Maybe certain items. Maybe if we win and do certain things, we get certain items. I'm also wondering, why do all of these have this little... I mean, these all look like taxis. So, here's my theory. This is, obviously they just ran into this taxi. But, like, are we going to see them? Because there's so many taxis littered throughout the city, I'm wondering if that is not our fast travel mechanic also. And we just haven't gotten that, leaked to us yet. So, here's where we get to see the absolutely fast battling system and how fast it actually is. Like, crazy hits, one after another. So many. So many little hits. And that's absolutely crazy how fast the battling system is. I love it. I love it so much. And we get to see different little Pokemon. Obviously, level 25. We get to see Roselia. It looks like Honedge and all of them sitting here at level 25, which is actually tells me that that's pretty early on we'll be able to get these Pokemon. So that'll be awesome. And we see a lot of Binacles, level 17. Usually, when we see a lot of Pokemon trainers that have these early leveled Pokemon, usually we could assume that that's going to be fairly early on in the game. So, a lot of this is early into the game, which tells me we'll probably be able to get some of these Pokemon early in the game. So, obviously we see them utilizing a lot of their moves to get fast, fast battling with the cool-off system, which is going to be absolutely awesome. And then we have the awesome Simisear using Protect and using all kinds of moves, trying to get off onto, trying to get over on Staryu, and Staryu takes the win there, letting us essentially level up, or rank up. Which, once again, there's a lot of Pokemon. It tells me we're going to see a lot of our favorite Pokemon early on in the game. And then we get the Mega Battle, which is absolutely crazy. That's absolutely crazy, the Mega Battle. And we get to see him using different moves and all for that. And obviously our damage. We get to tank a lot of damage before we pass out. Now, the crazy thing is here, we don't see a lot. I mean, it's not too crazy because we do see we're level 37, right? We're level 37. Obviously, this is after Mega Absol Battle. Obviously, this is after. I'm assuming that's the Alpha Houndoom, or we went through a Houndoom and a Gardevoir Mega Battle. So maybe Mega Victory Bell is like maybe the third or second or fourth Mega that we run into, because we see Mega Victory Bell is level 34. We did have an opportunity to get up to level 37 Pokemon, and we are still pretty early on in the game. The one thing I love about the Mega Victory Bell is we see that we're not just going to be limited to rooftops. We may encounter them out in the grass, out in the field, out in the water, out on the rooftops, maybe even, assumedly, inside of a building. I don't know. But it's going to be crazy where we're going to be able to find these Mega Raids, right? Rogue Mega Pokemon. And obviously we know about the Absol battle. We know that that's going to be, what, Lucario? Right? So yeah, we see Mega Lucario once again. And he's our only Pokemon we can use for that. Which, intro to... I'm assuming that's the intro to Mega Evolution? Yeah. Yeah, so all that is intro to Mega Evolution, which we've already seen. And then we come back and we see little Baneiris, and if you look, apparently, let's get out of here, in the corner over here somewhere. But, well, they don't have it in this footage, but in the corner over here, there's going to be a lot of different water Pokemon, and what they were stating is they have, you can actually see a Barnacle, and you can see, I may be butchering his name, I am so sorry if I am, it has been a long day, and Magikarps throughout that water system, which is crazy, which tells me pretty early on, we're Wild Zone 6 already, we're pretty early on in the game, and we're going to see some little Pokemon. And how, it's a shame they don't give us, what the level of the Baneiris are, but we can go based off the Houndour, and Houndoom, and see, assumingly they're level 17, and so we can assume that a lot of different Pokemon are going to appear in a lot of different areas, depending on what time of day you go out and search. Because we've seen some Pokemon popping out at night. We've seen some Pokemon popping out at the day. We've seen them in the wild zones, outside of the wild zones. Assumedly, we're going to go ahead and we're going to see a lot of more ghost Pokemon, dark Pokemon, so on and so forth. At night, even Zubats and the likes of those. At night, in the outside of the wild areas, obviously, because at night, once again, we're going to have the ZA system and more, more dangerous Pokemon popping out. So we can definitely assume that that is going to be the case, and that is how we're going to get Honedge, Ghastly, Sableye, and the likes. Because we do see that some of these Pokemon are early on. Obviously, Sableye's over at level 30. We can assume level 30 is going to be pretty early on in the game. We can assume that level 20 is going to be, 20-something is going to be pretty early on in the game as well. So anywhere between level 5 to 30 is probably going to be fairly early on into the game. Now, level 40s to 50s, we're going to say probably going to be mid-game, because we don't see a lot of that. Now, here was my opinion on this, right? How how are we gonna rank? How are we gonna level up and learn to increase our levels of Pokemon? Right? And I will say this: if we're going through all this, right? So here we have the ZA, our ranking system. I believe that as we rank, because we don't have any gyms, we don't have anything like that. But we do see, obviously level 7, level 6, so on and so forth throughout the ranking, Z through A ranking system. I believe that they're either going to go a route of Legends Arceus, where we're going to travel through these different events and do these different things we have to do. Maybe we're going to report back to Hotel Z, and that's how we're going to eventually gain, I guess, something kind of similar to stars, but instead of stars, it's going to be ranks, and that's how we're going to be able to control these big high-leveled Pokemon, right? So I'm thinking it's going to be the ranking system. It seems like it's going to be the ranking system because there's big incentive on the ranking system. So I'm going to go on a limb and say our rank is going to determine on what level of Pokemon we are going to get to control. Obviously, we saw 10 stars in Legends ZA, right? I mean Legends Arceus. In Legends ZA, we have Z through A. How many letters is there in the alphabet? Right? So that can definitely control what we're gonna get, and what Pokemon we're gonna be able to control. So even with that being said, right, we have alright, so we have 26 letters in the alphabet, right? And that tells me if we have like 26 letters in the alphabet. Also, interesting fact, don't we have like 20 something, 26 or 28 new Mega Evolutions? So that tells me we're probably gonna use those ranking systems, and as we continue to rank up, we're either gonna do one or two things, if not both of these things, which is the ranking system is gonna control how we're going to level up, right? And what level of Pokemon we're able to control, eventually leading us to be able to control, level 90s, level 100s, and so on and so forth, Pokemon of any level, probably fairly early on in the game. I'm assuming it's going to go up like maybe 5 or 10 points per time we rank up, right? But I also think that it isn't too wild to state that as we level up, we're going to see more and more megas popping up. And you may argue, hey, yeah, but isn't there more megas that are in the game besides the new megas? You're correct. And we are going to see Gengar, Absol, and so on and so forth, as we saw. But I believe as we rank up, we're going to be able to see more and more rogue megas popping up, and see more and more Pokemon that we're actually able to, control, and more Pokemon that we're actually going to be able to go capture. So it wouldn't be crazy to say that these 26, maybe one new Mega is going to pop up next to the old Megas, allowing us to capture a wide variety of Megas and go get them before eventually getting to rank A, where we will capture the final Mega, which is going to be Mega Zygarde, right? And see the Mega Eternal Flower Floette, and so on and so forth. And oh my goodness, that makes way too much sense. Yep, that makes way too much sense. 26 new Megas, 26 new ranks. 26 ranks to go, 26 new Megas. And yeah, that would make way too much sense. And then we can report back to Hotel Z to ZA and say, hey, this is what we got through. Return to our team and say, hey, either our team's going to help us or we're just going to follow our team, and ZA is going to be the one to say, hey, you beat this mission, here you go. Or our rank is going to determine in some way, shape, or form, obviously, what level of Pokemon we're able to control. And that's going to be absolutely crazy. So let's carry on. Let's see what else we got, because I know this is a long video. And obviously we see more. And we just got our max Challenger ticket obtained. And once we get our Challenger ticket, what does that mean, though? Because we're working to get our Challenger ticket. I know we're pausing a lot, but we're working to get our Challenger ticket. Does that mean that our Challenger ticket is going to allow us to challenge the final Pokemon trainer in the ZA? That would make a lot of sense, and we also get to see sectors. Apparently we have different sectors in each district. So right now we're in Sector 12, right here, and we're in the Juan district, but we're in Juan Sector 12. So that means we're going to have a lot more different sectors. We also see, it looks like a gate right here, just like the others. So more wild zones popping up, and more ZA stuff going, more ranked battles going and to take place maybe in the sewers, or more wild zones are going to take place also in the sewers, which is absolutely crazy to see. Which, I mean, we saw that pretty much earlier, but that's going to be crazy. So that means pretty early on we're going to be able to get down there, and we're going to be following Zygarde and it's 10%, right? So, oh man, we see a lot of different things going on. So there's a lot of different things that could be going on. So let's go ahead and let's see what Serebii had to say about everything, because Serebii goes into depth about a lot of stuff. So, before we do dive into that, I'm going to say there's a lot of different things we could see. And I think we're going to see an absolute ton of crazy wild things with, Legends EA. Because it seems to be absolutely massive. I think we're going to have to clear out some of those wild zones, and some of those wild zones are going to be regular zones. It's so on and so forth. It looks to be absolutely amazing and absolutely crazy. Because that little sewer, that means pretty early on in the game, we're going to be able to go ahead and go down there and go check out some Pokemon and get some wild zones going in those sewer systems and stuff. Because that means we're not just going to be traversing, but we're also going to be using those sewer systems to battle rogue Pokemon in wild zones, and so on and so forth. And the question is, will we see a rank battle going on inside the sewer system too? Will we get to travel into that? Because that may be what that little gate meant as well. Maybe not just wild area, but also that there is a rank battle going on in the sewer system, and we got to get down there and go get it. Also, I wonder if rideable water Pokemon are going to be a thing. That would be absolutely crazy to see. I'm not sure. They haven't dived too much into it, which leads me to believe they are not going to do that. But it would be crazy to see if we get to ride on the water, because there is a lot of water in the area, and us being able to ride on it to go catch other wild Pokemon would make a lot of sense. So that would make an incentive to get a water type Pokemon or water type starter even. So let's go ahead and see what Serebii says here. Pokemon Legends EA, a real-time delight. Oh, they also mention that there is a real day and night cycle, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. Recently, the Pokemon Company International brought me out to Paris for an event held in the Eiffel Tower. This event was a full preview of Pokemon Legends ZA. This allowed for me to spend over an hour with the game, learning more and more about the intricals beyond what I learned at the demo at the Pokemon World Championship. The preview came in 4 different elements. I got to spend 20 minutes exploring the Wild Zone, some time with the ZA Royale, a battle against Rentaro, who is one of the trainers needed to defeat to rank up in the ZA Royale. And finally, another Rogue Mega Evolution battle against Mega Victory Bell. As this content was later in the game's progression to the demo at the World Championship, I definitely feel like I got more of a feel of the changes that exist in the game. So the Wild Zone. First area we entered was Wild Zone 6 in the southeast part of Lumio City. Ooh, that's interesting. We saw Wild Zone East, Wild Zone southeast part of Lumio. So if we go back to, where was it? If we go back to our image of Lumios, we can say southeast, which right over here, once again. That means we're right there at the beginning. So the beginning's still going to be more southeast, but we do see that we're going to get some ghost Pokemon. We originally thought that we were going to get some ghost Pokemon only up north, but apparently there's some ghost and dark type Pokemon that are going to be southeast, southwest of Lumios. That is crazy. I feel like a lot more of it's going to be to the right, because we do see a lot more overgrown stuff and a lot more potential for ghost Pokemon and stuff like that. Near the overgrown pathways, where it's more grassy terrain and stuff like that, or creepy buildings that have been overgrown, like the Hotel Z and stuff like that. But it's interesting to note that we're going to see a lot of stuff over here. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. And yeah, this is even it right over here. We see, the Houndoom laying down, and then boom, right over there, we see the water. Okay. So that's going to be crazy. Alright, back to it. So, here we just let loose in the area to explore. It was a sizable wild zone with a fair bit of it featuring a high street basketball court, small access to the river, and the ability to climb up the top buildings. Okay, so we did see that within it. We saw the Hollowvators, apparently is what they're called, the Hollowvators, allowing him to go up and down, and obviously more Pokemon right over here. Okay. As with Pokemon Legends Arceus, you have the ability to walk past and catch a Pokemon simply by throwing the Pokeball, which is, of course, immensely satisfying, much like in the prior Legends games. As before, if they break out, they will target you. This did work mostly well, but I did notice something when trying to catch a sleeping Alpha Houndoom, where when I was locked on to it, the Pokeball would just hit the ground, meaning I had manually aimed and throw if I had to manually aim and throw if I wanted to hit it. This is likely just due to the hitbox being perfect for the Pokemon, and the center point was unfortunately on the ground. Ooh, that's crazy. Okay. So, much like the Pokemon Legends Arceus, wild Pokemon will also spot you and react differently. Pokemon such as Houndour went for the attack, and like in previous Legends games, if they were angry and attacking, you can't just throw a Pokeball. You will need to battle them. Other Pokemon such as Swablu would try to fly away and avoid combat. This continues with the ever-growing showcase of ecology of Pokemon, and seeing it in a city environment is going to be fascinating. Oh, 100%. I mean, we've seen a ton of bird Pokemon perched on top of street lamps and so on and so forth. It's going to be crazy. How crazy would it be to actually see like a Lampet just sitting there hanging outside of a hospital waiting for someone to pass, and then we go in and capture it, keep somebody from getting their soul taken away or something like that. I think that would be really crazy. I don't see I see I see Pokemon doing it, but I don't see them widely doing it and just being like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you hint, 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 you know what this is," or stating that that is what the mission is. We got to go capture this Lampent that's terrorizing some patient inside of a hospital, and yada yada yada. But if they're going to integrate catching a Pokemon inside of a building in a game, this would be the game to do it. This would be the perfect game to do something crazy like that, and it would be absolutely wild to see that. Hey, you gotta go visit this hospital to get this wild, mega Pokemon that is on a rampage, and it ends up being a Lampent or something. And maybe they put a small hint with like, there's this building. If you go inside the building, there's a little girl or a woman or a guy or something inside of a hospital bed. Maybe, and you're maybe outside when you exit. There's little Lampents and stuff like that, and you capture the Lampents, and it's like a little small knot. It's like Lampent outside of a door at a hospital. I see where this is going. I see what you did there, Game Freak. And that's kind of the small nods that Game Freak does. So it wouldn't be too wild to see that, but it'd be really wild to see them actually stating, hey, we need you to go rescue this person who's about to get their soul taken as a mission. So let's see. It continues the ever-growing showcase of ecology. Okay. Alpha Pokemon were a bit of a challenge here. The team I had was level 20s, while the Alpha Pokemon I saw was level 34 Houndoom. A level 33 Binacle, that's what I was trying to say, and a level 42 Pikachu. Gee whiz. This meant that the damage my Pokemon's moves were doing was minimal, even though I had super effective damage. Never in a battle before in Pokemon have I had to juggle healing items as much as in these battles, especially as wild Pokemon from nearby kept joining in. But being able to use the obstacles in the city streets, such as taxis, market stalls, etc., for cover definitely helped. Ooh, so we will get to actually use some of the taxis and so on and so forth as obstacles to help prevent moves from hitting our Pokemon. I also did see where we're going to be able to switch out Pokemon in a heartbeat, like hurry up and try and switch out a Pokemon to negate the damage that's supposed to be done. We also see a picture down here of XP Candy XS, so they're going to also have the candy system in there also, which is going to help out a lot for us leveling up Pokemon fast and being able to kind of win some of these ZA rank battles. So that'll be great. That'll be absolutely amazing. And my fear here is Honedge being one of the Pokemon, or being able to get a Ghost Pokemon so early with the Ghost Run is going to be crazy, because that means I'm only going to be able to use that Ghost Pokemon, no other Pokemon, and that is going to make grinding very, very fun. So hopefully we get some more. Let's see. It's going to be a fun video, I can tell you that much. This is going to be a definitely fun game for me. Never in a battle before in Pokemon have I juggled so many items. Definitely helped. I did eventually emerge victorious and caught all 3 of them. I will note, though, one time I walked away a small distance to regroup, and when I returned, the wild Pokemon hit points had all recovered. I also defeated the Houndoom once, and it dropped some EXP candy. The wild Pokemon battles in general were quite illuminating. Well, that's good. It actually started to show some of the strategy in the game, with some Pokemon using Protect right off the bat, and basically requiring me to think more about everything I do in a battle. This goes down to the distance and positioning. At one point, I was trying to battle a Swablu, and it was flying too high up, so my Pokemon's moves were just not hitting. It was slightly too high. Obstacles including walls of buildings also get in the way of attacks. Hitting so you can use that for cover if needed. This adds a few extra layers of thoughts to the battle. While playing this, we also got confirmation that there is a day and night cycle in the game, akin to that seen in Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's neither real time nor needed to be activated by something else. So, I'm assuming we won't. With that being said, I can only assume that we're not going to have to nap or anything in order to hop straight into night. It's probably going to be just immediately, hey, you're brought into night or you're brought into day, based on the day and night cycle and what times you're probably playing or something, maybe. Or it's going to be, wow, or it's going to be the simple fact that maybe we do have to nap, right? But they say akin to Legends Arceus and akin to Scarlet and Violet, which is just regular old day and night cycle. So it's gonna be crazy. So 1 minute you're gonna be in a day catching a bunch of Pokemon, and the next thing you know, around whatever time o'clock in game, it's gonna be nighttime. And that's what we're going to be striving for. So will there be beds, possibly? That's a good question, because we saw that in ZA, but we're not really certain that we're going to... We didn't see that in Scarlet and Violet, so there's no definite, for sure, answer that we're going to be able to sleep straight to night to kind of skillfully utilize going and catching nighttime Pokemon and daytime Pokemon. But being that it's centered around battling, I can only assume that will not be the case. That we'll be out there catching Pokemon and stuff until it eventually becomes nighttime, and then is when we will see the ZA rank system, right? Or the battle zones. Alright. Partway through our session, it turns to night, and the battle zones activated. Alas, I was unable to find shiny Pokemon. Now, I wonder if when the battle zones activate, are we going to just be having to go straight into the battle zones? Or are there actually... I can only assume that there's actually going to be a little adventure outside so you can go catch Pokemon at night as well. I can only assume that. But from what it looks like, a lot of it's just showing that we're going to go straight into the battle zones and stuff. We're going to have to walk in and do battle zones, and there's not going to be too many Pokemon out at night. Alas, I was unable to find shiny Pokemon in it, but have a third-hand account of it. Unfortunately, I can't confirm firsthand if there are Sparkle or Sound, but word is that we may be very happy. So that's great for a bunch of shiny hunters. With the Wild Zone, I was able to get a bit more of the sense of scale with the game. While there is concern overall that the city is small from the size of the small area I'm not entirely worried about its size anymore. There seems to be something to find around every corner. I was removing obstacles with my Binacle Bubble Beam to get some items hidden away. I was climbing rooftops to find wild Pokemon. In the Wild Zones itself, there was also no Pokemon Center. Yeah. If I went to heal my Pokemon, I either had to use items, or I could go to the cafe where I could spend money for a drink, which would then heal the Pokemon. I got word that apparently that also heals the entire team. I'm also very curious about the spawn system. The spawns I encountered matched what others in the preview session had, so I am questioning the randomization of the spawn system, or if everything is set. But it looks to be more akin to Pokemon Legends Arceus spawn system, where there are spawn points with one or few options, rather than Scarlet and Violet system, where everything is fully randomized within certain concentrations with countless spawn points. Some of the spawns also came back over time, but I wasn't quite sure how to trigger this. This will be something we'll need to wait and see at launch or for full clarification. The ZA Royale was also much later down the line than the previous demo inside. We got a full look at the mode and had face off a number of trainers to get 5,000 points for the rank up challenge. This was much like the demo before, but we got a full look at the tasks that are provided that can give you more points. If you achieve them, points if you can achieve them. Akin to Blueberry quests in the Indigo discs, these ranged from getting super effective strikes to using specific types of moves to knock out, even getting an instant knockout from a surprise attack on a Pokemon. Each of these gave you coins and bonus points and were dotted around the battle zone, so you could exchange for one you felt you could more easily achieve. Okay, so that goes into the little cards that we saw laying around. The ZA Royale itself is a bit easy with the teams we were given, as we were a little over leveled, that it was basically a one-hit knockout against most Pokemon with super effective moves, and I didn't really lose a Pokemon or receive much damage during it. That's not to say it wasn't fun. Looking around for the tough trainers and trying to sneak attack them was definitely a fun way to go about it. This part of the preview ended with the battle against Rintaro. That was one of the battles that is needed to rank up. Rintaro's dream is to make his restaurant a 3-star restaurant. When he wins a ZA Royale and challenged simply with Simisage and Simisear and Simipour, this actually felt more like a final gym battle than a simple battle. Yes, let's go. It was set in a battlefield, his restaurant, and navigating it was fairly simple. And as I had a varied team, I could switch in the Pokemon that were stronger against each one. So I did face 2 big challenge mechanics. We're the same as before. No, I didn't face too big a challenge. I got you. Oh my goodness, I cannot read today. Apparently, mechanics were the same as before, and with the team I was provided, I was able to switch Pokemon at will to make it easier. So here's the crazy thing about all this: the Pokemon, the battling system. We're going to be grinding just like the days of old, Pokemon Red and Blue style, so on and so forth. So it is going to make a lot of people, they are stating, or because of these things right here, they're complaining that the game is going to be too hard because Legend is not going to handhold like Scarlet and Violet and so on and so forth. But I say that's great. We do not want handholdy. We want a little skill to be implemented into the battling system. And that is what a lot of people are saying about the new battling system. Is it is going to be more skillful, it is going to be more intense, and it's going to kind of be a little bit more hard than normal Pokemon games. Needless to say, it is going to be easy knowing the mechanics of a Pokemon game. And that is going to make it easy nonetheless because of the leveling system and so on and so forth. But that does not mean that the battling system cannot be a bit hard and difficult. And with what we've seen, it means that we are going to be grinding, we are going to be leveling, we are going to be using moves more skillfully than when you normally would, adding stuff like Protect when you normally wouldn't have Protect on your team. Having different moves that do different abilities or different effects or different things in general to really skillfully use this. So let's take me with a Rotom, for example. I would have more of a Thunder Wave, Protect, Thunderbolt, and Hex, right? Because I would want to throw on a big effect. That way I can go ahead and go in with Hex and have Protect to protect me in case of big hits with such a small Pokemon. I wouldn't want my Pokemon to get one hit KO'd simply because it's a Rotom and it does not have the best defense stats. And then I would also essentially want my Thunderbolt and my Thunder Wave so I can guarantee status effects. That way I can hit them with a Hex and do double damage, essentially KOing. That way I have protection all around for big, hard-hitting Pokemon that I normally wouldn't be able to beat. and that would also allow me to take down alphas and megas a little bit easier than normal as well. So, with that being said, it is going to be a more skillful Pokemon game than our normal Pokemon games are, and that's going to be absolutely fantastic, I believe. The next segment was against a Rogue Mega Victreebel. This battle was much like a Mega Absol. Like the Mega Absol one I talked about in my demo preview. But there was definitely more of a challenge here, to the point that Naveen was also involved in the battle. And here we see us finding that Victreebel in the grass, obviously, right here, which is absolutely amazing instead of it being on the rooftop. It also had a massive field attack, which placed poison puddles. Yeah, okay. I had a team filled with Mega Evolutions capable of Pokemon including Houndoom, Absol, and Gardevoir, and with Houndoom I managed to deal with the combination of distant attacks with Ember and close-up attacks including Fire Fang and Snarl to damage. Yeah, that goes into what we were talking about with the battling system. Certain moves are going to allow you to do certain things within certain distances, which is absolutely great. Victreebel did target my human character down more, and any damage inflicted on my Pokemon did feel more like collateral damage than it being targeted down. It also had a massive field of attack, which placed poison puddles through much of the arena, requiring navigation, and if a Pokemon was hit by it, it would be damaged and sometimes poisoned. Due to this, and its varied attacks, I had to rethink things a couple of times, even to the point of recalling my Pokemon as it was about to attack to make sure it avoided all the damage and made sure to collect the Mega Energy. That Mega Victreebel released whenever it got damaged. So, another big thing I'm going to get to before we get into the battling system is going to be one account of someone purposely dying and what happened with that. So stay tuned for that after I finish this sentence. I ended up defeating the Victreebel with these strategies, not losing a Pokemon and earning a Victreebelite Megastone. However, I do know others in the preview session did struggle with it and lost to it. So challenge is in the eye of the beholder. Right. So it really depends on your moveset, how used to your moveset you are, and how you go about using your moveset within the game. Because the battling system, like I said, it's going to be a little bit harder. I'm sure they're going to go more into this in the battling system part of things. But we did have an account of someone purposely dying, and what ended up happening when they died to a wild Pokemon is they teleported to the Pokemon Center. And at the Pokemon Center, their human character, healed. And they also had, they didn't have to heal Pokemon because obviously their Pokemon didn't take most of the damage, but they did have the opportunity to heal their Pokemon at the Pokemon Center when they teleported there, right? So that's crazy. So confirmation that Pokemon Centers are more than just Pokemon Centers. They're essentially hospitals also for the humans. So that's crazy to think about. With the battles against the Alpha Pokemon in the Wild Zone, the rank-up match against Rintaro and the battle against Mega Victreebel, I definitely got more of a feel with the battle system, and it really does seem like it is more than just go for the super effective attack, as the wild Pokemon can and will attack your Pokemon while they're preparing a move. You need to think strategically about positions, move choice, and more, especially as more Pokemon enter the battle. You need to think about whether the move will hit multiple Pokemon around you to take down multiple Pokemon at once. You need to use moves with secondary effects more and more, and think about timing of when your Pokemon are more vulnerable. As said before, I have never in my 26 years of playing Pokemon used recovery items in battle as much as I did against the Alpha Pokemon. Another Another thing I'm gonna note: someone did state that they ended up using potions, so on and so forth, and with that, it was significantly harder to use those items because of the fact that Pokemon would still try to attack you even while you're in the menu even while you're trying to use those items. So we haven't seen too much about using the items, but there is going to be even skill integrated into using said items on certain Pokemon. So it's going to be crazy, but we're going to have items we're going to need to use. We're going to have all kinds of different things we're going to have to do, and it's going to be absolutely crazy, the skills that are going to go into this Pokemon game. And I'm sure with more, as we do more and more online battles and stuff, there's going to be a lot more skill integrated into that, because we're going to have people using Choice Cloth and so on, Choice Cloth and all these other different combative stuff, items. That way we can, negate damage, heal our Pokemon, leftovers, so on and so forth. And that is going to be, it's going to throw it into chaos. But the chaos we love, because skillful Pokemon games are amazing. Oh, it's going to be like the days of old, but with more modern ingenuity and more modern gameplay style. And a lot of people are stating that they really hope that this battle system stays when it comes to the new Pokemon games, such as Gen 10. That way we can integrate this and enjoy this battling system for future Pokemon games instead of just a regular old turn-based battling system. Stat buffs and debuffs seem to be able to be boosted, dropped once at a time, and last for a set amount of time before reverting to normal. You can't just keep spamming Growl to make a Pokemon's attack stat as low as can be forever. And doing that will get your Pokemon severely damaged in the interim. In the long run. It will get your Pokemon severely damaged in the long run. They will be displayed above the Pokemon with a simple red arrow if boosted, or blue down arrow if lowered, with there being 5 symbols, one for each stat that can be debuffed. It will then start to flash as the boost drop is about to vanish. So we saw that, right? We see that even in the image right here. Right? Right here, Mega Absol's attack got boosted, right? And Pikachu's attack got lowered, it looks like. So I'm assuming that's what that is. I don't remember what they all were, but they did. I do remember them going over it and saying what they all were. Plus moves are also mechanically interesting. You can use moves. You can use a move as standard, but when a Pokemon has learnt its move as plus move, then when you press start in battle for a battle before choosing a move, it uses a plus move, giving it more power. However, it will drain your Mega gauge, even if not Mega Evolved. When a Pokemon is Mega Evolved, all its moves are plus moves. So that's gonna state, hey, you got to be a bit skillful of what moves you use and don't use, and on what Mega Evolutions, and whether you use plus moves or you don't use plus moves at that given point. Because if you want to Mega Evolve, obviously you don't want to use too many plus moves. And if you want to stay Mega Evolved, you're going to have to also be able to get in close enough to get the Mega energy, right? So it's going to be more, even the Rogue Mega evolutions are going to be strategic in how you use those and what you do with those Pokemon, is what this tells me. Which is absolutely crazy. So, plus moves are essentially going, what is it they said they are going to do? Plus moves, essentially, they give your move a buff, kind of like when you use, like, strong style or agile style, right? But if you use it, you do have that drain in the gauge, and if you don't use it, you get to build your gauge up faster. So you do want to use them to get a lot of damage, but you don't want to use it too often to where you're not being able to Mega Evolve. And if the Pokemon isn't dropping enough Mega Energy around it, then you definitely don't want to use plus moves and waste the ability to Mega Evolve and take even more damage out of that Pokemon because of all your moves becoming plus moves and getting spikes and buffs in their stats. So that's going to add an extra bit of skill into the game as well. Plus, we read that it's also worth noting that sleep is also not a status condition in Pokemon Legends ZA, but moves that inflict it have returned to the drowsy status condition from Pokemon Legends ZA. Pokemon Legends Arceus. As noted and discovered before as well, there are no abilities but hold items or in this game. So that adds an extra element. A lot of this is adding extra elements of skill, and so on and so forth. I'm definitely starting to see the battle system in a different light, and have moved from concern to over the changes. Okay, we're going to restart that one. I'm definitely starting to see the battle system in a different light, and have moved from concern over the changes to cautious optimism. I think there is the spark of something really fun with this system, and I am eager to dive into the depths of it when the game launches, especially with the ZA Battle Club multiplayer mode. Yes, 100%, I agree right there. Miscellaneous, we also got to have a look at the trainer customizations, and though we couldn't go into boutiques to have a look and see what there is, the options that we were given were plentiful. It makes for a stark contrast from the uniforms of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It's also worth noting that evolution works just like Pokemon Legends Arceus, where if you're not in battle, you can just select it from the Pokemon menu at any time if your Pokemon is eligible. Moves are also able to be learned from the Pokemon screen, with level up moves and even TM moves being available from there, allowing for much quicker ease for checking a Pokemon's moveset. When our Chikorita evolved into Bayleaf, it gained an idea for Giga Drain, and from the menu, I just taught it the move. It's very quick and effective, and that move came in very handy against the Alpha Binacle I was trying to fight. The performance and presentation. I was playing the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of the game, and obviously this is a pre-release build, so things can change, which we all must be open-minded to the fact that, yes, a lot of these things can change from that pre-release build. So things can change, but the game ran like an absolute dream. During my gameplay, I didn't notice any frame drops, and the visuals were nice and crisp, much like has been seen in previews. It's nice and silky smooth at 60 frames per second. Draw distance is one thing I'm a little concerned about. Much like the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, for wild Pokemon, I could see them from far. I could see them from far away. Okay, when on top of a building, I could see them on the pavements of Lumio City below. I could see them in the river and everything, which matches somewhat the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 2. In the Battle Zone, I didn't see many issues either. However, in one bit of footage we were shown before the preview, there was some pop-in of a human character a little bit closer than I'd like. Until we get full hands-on with the game and ability to fully explore Lumio City beyond the Wild Zones and Battle Zones, we won't know for sure what the pop-in situation is like. Hopefully it was a one-off blip. The music for the game is also a set of classics. We were seeing a good number of remixes of music from Pokemon X and Y, which makes sense, but it just feels so natural into the it just feels so natural into the game. The thoughts overall, I'm feeling very optimistic about this game. I still have some uh, trepidation over the shift to a city environment over a sprawling region, and I am very curious how the story and game will proceed with that. But from the gameplay standpoint, I am absolutely enamored by what I have seen. The new battle system has me curious and wanting to dive more and more in. I really want to see more of where this goes, and I want to see how well Lumio City works as a foundation for an entire game. I still have some trepidation over traversal of this large city, seeing as we've not seen any ride Pokemon or anything like that. With fast travel between wild zones, battle zones, key areas, and Pokemon centers exists, I am very, while they exist, I am very curious to see how actual traversal goes and feels. I can tell this game is going to be a bit divisive due to the battle system and exploration changes, but I just can't wait to see more. There's some strong potential here, and if they hit the mark with the battle system as perfectly as the foundations are making it to appear, we may have something special. That version that they tested was Nintendo Switch footage, and then all the footage provided by Pokemon International. With all that, I'm going to say this. A lot of this, I think, is going to be great. I really do. Everything that's been going into this makes me more and more and more excited. And the more and more I look at this footage, the more and more I see all of the different things, which obviously, if we went to my other channel, you can see I've been watching a ton of things. I mean, even if I turn the camera around and show you, I've been looking at like a ton, and I mean a absolute ton of Pokemon news and information and scoping out all the little ghost Pokemon and other Pokemon that we could find in this game, and it has been absolutely wild, absolutely crazy. We have been intensely checking out everything that has been dropping, and we've seen so much of this game and so much of Lumio City. I refuse to believe that this game is going to be as small as we are all believing it to be. I think, honestly, we are going to see a much larger scaled game. Because, like I said, when you go back to looking at Lumio City and looking at how huge just the city is, I know we're all skeptical of it, but look at this city and tell me this is not a huge city. They have proven that there is so much that they can do with this game, with this map, with this city. I mean, I'm optimistic. What can I say? I believe this is going to be an absolutely amazing game and an absolutely huge game, despite being confined to Lumio City. And then when you integrate the DLC into the mix and being able to go to a Hyperspace Lumios, a different version of Lumio City, essentially, and being able to do all the things that they're going to let you do in that DLC, it's going to be so even more to explore than what we have here. And I think they know that we are, kind of worried that it is in just a simple city. But we got to remember, X and Y, Lumio City was still huge, but kind of smaller feeling, But it feels so much bigger in this game than it actually did in X and Y. And that's my honest to God opinion of Lumio City and us being in Lumio City here. Even we entered right here, and it was nothing but waterfront, and you didn't see much of it, and then you traversed over here, and 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 there was other things to do, even in X and Y. So one could say, for as small as, X and Y was, it was still a big city for that game. So it's not too crazy that we're actually going to go into the city and that it is going to be this huge, ridiculous game. Because this city is big, despite us looking at it and saying, oh, well, that's just one city out of multiple different cities in Lumios. Now, don't get me wrong. I 100% want to go outside of Lumios. I want to see more of the Kalos region. Give that to us. But if all we're getting is Lumios City, I'm fine with it. It seems like it'll be absolutely amazing and absolutely fun to traverse. And like it's going to be so much bigger than we're actually expecting it to be. Because once again, we are one mere dot in a big, huge city. And that's my opinion there. I also love the battling system as well, and I think that the battling system is going to be absolutely great. The skillfulness that is going to go into it is going to bring us back to the days of old when we had to crash, crank, and we had to, you know, pull out the gamer skills, sit down, and grind in the game to actually try and win it. Not just saying, oh, here's some Pokemon that you should be able to defeat, but you may not be able to defeat depending on how much you actually did in the game. And, that's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy to see all the things that we can do in Lumiose City. It's going to be crazy to see what kind of skills we're going to have to whip out to actually beat the game. And what all is going to go into this whole big battling system. I think there's a lot of things that we're going to see that are going to be things that we're not necessarily used to in a normal Pokemon game. And I think that every little bitty thing is absolutely wonderful, and it's going to be good. Because, like I said, the more and more, the closer and closer and closer we hear more and more things about Legend ZA, and the more that gets released, the more I am excited for this game as a whole. So that's my thoughts and opinions. I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing game. I think we're going to be able to get a lot of our favorite Pokemon early on, and it's going to be great. I'm also interested to see, if those Mega Stones are just for the Mega Pokemon that we find, or if we're going to actually be able to attach them to any Pokemon that is compatible with that Mega Stone, which I think that's the direction they're going to go, and that's going to be fun. But I also, am open-minded to the fact that it may just be that random encounter with that Mega, and then you get that Mega Stone, and it ends up being attached to that Mega Pokemon. But we won't know any of this until Pokemon Legends ZA comes out October 16th, which is going to be absolutely crazy, absolutely wild, and absolutely fun to dive deep into. I am ready to dive into that map. I am ready to dive into that world. I am even ready to dive deep into that DLC. And I cannot wait to make those videos for you guys. So, with all this being said, this has been about almost an hour and 30 minutes long of going through everything we've just gotten for Legends ZA. So, keep it lit, keep it hype, keep it real, and keep on doing what you love, you guys. Let's get hyped for Pokemon Legends ZA! And I'll see y'all in the next live video. Peace.